new, by the way. This is something that they've been running, I think, for the past like 3, 4 months. So they've really polished this up. They really know what Pokemon to pick. Does Elevate know how to deal with it? And I kind of don't know if they do have that answer.
Ben Credence.
I mean, I'm
Ben
keen to
Credence.
see.
Van Creedon.
Well, let's see whether Night Mew Foxy picks up the Night Greedent Foxy then going into this. But instantly seems like a respect ban or some sort of hover over Mew. I'm not really sure whether Mew's going to be. Yeah, I think it's just going to be a hover for now, Danny. But it's going to be a Cramorant and Mimikyu ban on the side of MYS to start up this game number 1 of the Grand Finals.
Yeah, nothing too crazy. I want to know what Elevate's thinking here. Are they sort of prepping their draft and saying, like, we're going to pick something, we're going to open with something that can deal with the all defender draft, but also be able to pivot if we have to? And because MYS get first pick, they kind of have a bit of a surprise here. They can always just pick a defender and be like, okay, all right, good luck, have fun. You can guess what's going to be our next couple picks. But what is it going to be? Will it be that defender, or are we going to be seeing something normal? All right, we're playing a little bit more normal here. normal,
Yeah,
normal
Yamu going
comp.
for the Blaziken there, which I think is a great priority pick here, especially if there's no Umbreon there. Slowbro is still up for grabs though, Danny. So I'm keen to see whether Elevate actually responds with something like a Slowbro. Oh,
Cerulege is probably a better pick because this is been a pretty priority ban, especially for today. So to pick that up and the Slowbro, I mean, I think Elevate, they're
Slowbro.
kind of happy getting these next 2 picks. So MYS, I mean, they let this through, and I don't think he let Cerulege through for free like this under normal circumstances. So I'm kind of wondering, like, what in their minds is going to be the way that they deal with Kawaii and Cerulege here?
And we saw how good Rebongs was on that Mamoswine yesterday, so it looks like they're going to come back with it, locking it in for the team. Though Blissey, I think another decent pick actually with that, synergy with the Blaziken as well. Mivar looking to, pivot on their attacker here. No more Cramorant for them, a respect ban from MYS here. Junior Absent going for the Hooper once again. So I think a great supporter pick, especially, those resets and that ability to port people up and down there. I'm keen to see what they actually land on here for Miwa, Danny.
It's going to be the Chandelure. I don't think a lot of people were really expecting this kind of a pick, but Chandelure, I feel like could cause a lot of issues, especially for MYS. They do have a couple of Pokemon that do require some kind of targetability, right? So once the lights are off, these Pokemon will absolutely struggle. And Foxy is selecting Mr. Mime, Mr. Foxy. What are we doing?
Whoa.
What? Okay,
What?
what is going on?
Remember
What are these
at the
picks?
start, you said that they're going to be playing normal. Danny, I don't think that's going to be happening here for MIS because HT is going to lock in the Blaster here. I was going to say, having the Chandelure should force them to play another Pokemon with some sort of dive as well, because now the pressure is all going to be on the Blaziken unless we get a spin Blaster coming out from HT here, right? Because if not, the Chandelure is going to have the time of their life just using the flamethrowers over and over again from the backline there. What do you think?
I have no idea. I don't even want to analyze MYS at this point in time. We just let these guys play and we figure it out as they go. But Elevate, their draft is looking okay. I always have some reservations when I see Lapras because I have seen teams try to make this Pokemon work. And it's absolutely not anything like it used to be. Last time it was very tanky, could also do damage. Now it's more or less just tanky, really there to provide slows and stuns and occasionally the Lapras Express. So I think the goal for Teneri in this matchup in particular, he's basically just going to have to try and lock down all these melee Pokemon, keep them slowed, keep that gap between his team's Chandelure from MYS because there's a lot of dive capability on that side. I'm kind of worried about the Chandelure.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking how the Lapras Express is actually going to be impactful for their team because normally you want to knock up like squishies, right? But if you look at Team MYS, who is actually going to care if they get knocked up there? Blaziken is going to be very, very tanky in that late game. Mamoswine, Blastoise, they're not going to really care. The Blissey is going to be the last person to really target with a Lapras Express, right? So I'm keen to see how they actually use that to play. However, we do have a game number 1 underway here, Danny, for our grand finals. We've got Team MYS on the purple side. The Mime is going to go with the Swine up into that bottom part there. So very interesting.
Mr. Mr. Mime swine up. This looks like a very dirty lane, and we'll have to see what happens down there because it could be absolute chaos. We are seeing a bit of an invade here, but it's going to be too late, unfortunately, for Yang. This little Chansey not making it over there to contest for that first buff. The red buff is actually going to be on Junior absent, so this will allow him to pressure that top lane, especially with the provided slow. And Rebongs is like, yeah, hey, what's up, man? Yeah, okay, we didn't get any buffs, but I'm just going to try and slow you down, which... I mean, this is probably the best thing you can really do because if you could prevent that level 5 evolution, this will really slow things down here. Very close to that level 5, and unfortunately, that won't be denied at all. Bottom lane, solo Mr. Mime. And of all the players to play this is Foxy. I truly have no idea what this man is thinking. Is he trying to play Greedent, but not Greedent at the same time?
Talking about how good Foxy was yesterday, holding down the bottom path by themselves there. I do like that 4v3 engage here from the side of MYS. This puts a lot of pressure on Elevate to actually defend this pad. But it looks like a lot of the experience is going to go on the side of MYS. Actually, the Hooper Portal, they're able to just support the team as the Cyril Edge is just going to go through and try to get a little bit more levels, you know, picking off the wall farm just in case MYS goes through for another invade.
Have to see if there's going to be another invade. Looking at how they are so far, though, I mean, MYS are not looking too happy with their lanes. Sure, Foxy is okay. He's doing things independently on his own, but he's not thriving. And look at that. That's this annoying Junior absent. This is actually really great because he's slowing down the progress of this combustion, although he gets knocked out. So some free experience, I suppose. Should be going and hitting that Blaziken very soon. And Foxy was actually forced out of that bottom lane, so more points being scored by Elevate. Very helpful if they are trying to go for those stacks. They do see 3, and unfortunately, with only 2 here for MYS, they're just not comfortable trying to go for any aggressive play. This feels so strange to me because we're so used to seeing this team be in the driver's seat, be the ones to make the calls, but they're the ones being shepherded by Elevate at the moment.
Yeah, I think Elevate definitely have that early advantageous, I guess, position with those overheats coming through. I think overheat is such a great move instead of flamethrower here because of how tanky it is and just able to provide a little bit more pressure coming through from the damage. I like to think of it as like side shot guard.
Oh, he's caught!
With a little bit more mobility. But the mine with the combo on the Blaziken is going to knock them out. I feel like we just gave them a little bit of Pastor's curse there as we're complimenting how good it is. But speaking of movesets, we have a Hydro Spin coming out from the Blastoise there on HT. Am I correct in saying that? That's going to provide some nasty stuns though going into Elevation.
We'll have to see where they want to go with this. Unfortunately, though, the Blaziken has been caught out. Mr. Mime is here as well, but Foxy is really low, and they don't even have the support here. Blaziken goes down. This is pretty bad for MYS. I mean, they were trying to buy some time for Elevate, but to give away your Blaziken and to give away that Registeel buff, we're going to be looking at a very big push down here. If MYS don't bail, they will be losing some lives.
Yeah, and I think just giving the pad up is probably the best case scenario there. We don't want to feed the Cyril Edge any more levels, and I think this is a great decision to keep going into the central area, kind of stuff them off. It's kind of like a revenge, right, from what happened in that early game. A couple of dunks coming in from MYS though in the top part. The Chandelier is not having a good time, getting grabbed and spun by the Blastoise as well. So that's going to be a break for them on top. So kind of a trade in terms of your pads at the moment. The Lapras getting caught out is not going to be good for them. Hydro Typhoon comes out to knock 2 members of their team. The spin to win has to spin to get out there, Danny. But it looks like they're going to have that early positioning for this victory leg.
So I guess the play here for Yemu is that he's just seeing so much crowd control and slow on the side of Elevate. He's just decided, I'm just going to go for the spin build, right? They've got nothing to actually cancel this at all. So he's got free reign to either go into the back lines, to escape those late game engagements as well. Like, especially when you do get the rapid spin plus, you also get damage reduction as well. And with how Elevate is, it's mostly Cyril Edge and Chandelier doing the majority of the damage for the team. So with only 2 true damage dealers, this Blastoise could prove to be a big issue if they can't get rid of him pretty early to prevent the Unites from coming out. So for Elevate, they really have to watch the positioning for Miva. I feel like this is a game where Miva is under a very, very high pressure situation because he knows how valuable he is to his team in this game.
Yeah, 100%. And speaking of powerful Pokemon, Mr. Mime, Nightmare Foxy, on level 10 already. You don't really see that on Mime every day. But look at this Blaziken, maybe caught out here, goes in for the engage, but then Lapras able to take them down as well. Hooper goes rings unbound there, which actually quite surprising. Maybe they thought there's going to be a little bit more of an engagement there. Not too sure. Miwa actually scouting in front of the Slowbro, which I think I'm getting a little bit nervous for them. It is so crucial for them to stay in the playing field for as long as possible. You talk about how much, I guess, potential they can in terms of damage and the, I guess, the carry ability. Their Mamoswine looking for maybe a grab on the Cerealia Unite. The Revenant Ren coming through, but gets shut down with the Ice Fang eject to get out of the situation as well. Look at this. The Cerealia is going for more. Mime has to pop eject as well. I think it probably is the best time to just get out of this situation now. They've done the deal. They've gotten the buffs. I don't think they need to lose any Pokemon at the moment. Eject to get out. The Mamo Mash coming through. None of these moves are really connecting, are they? The Slow Beam goes to the Blaziken. No backup there. Lapras Express knocks down a Blissey. Flies all the way across the map to get that assistance onto the mine there. 18 dunks on the bottom. What a tug of war scenario at the moment, Danny, as members are just flying down at the moment. No Mamoswine from Team MYS. The fight is still going on. Hydro Speed comes through. The Slowbro is on 1 HP. The Hooper tries to get out of the scenario. Members of MYS is actually just dropping like flies at the moment. This is a great opportunity to get that crucial level. And we have a level 13 Ceruledge on the side of Elevate.
That was such a great patient play from the Ceruledge. He waited. Carwine was waiting behind his team, waiting for that opportunity for MYS to group up because you're fighting on a goal zone, right? And so because they grouped up, they were able to get that multi-man cleave. And Carwine, I mean, this man was literally laughing to the bank. Although if he gets knocked out here, this is pretty big mistake. That's a big chunk of experience given away.
Yeah, absolutely. Level 12 Mime on that team, but it does give that opportunity for Elevate to just get this Regieleki. They're big engage from the Mamoswine. They get stunned by the Regieleki though. Chandelier on 1 HP once again. Blaziken is looking for this knockout. They will get the levels on their side. Regieleki is still quite healthy, perhaps going to move in. That doesn't really matter for MYS at the moment. This Blaziken is still looking to engage on top of this Lapras, but the Water Pulse with the Slowbro is going to be a little bit too strong. I mean, some of these engagements, Danny, I don't know whether it's really worth it for either of these teams because we seem to be just giving away some sort of experience on a silver platter in a lot of these fights.
Yeah, I'd actually ask Elevate to maybe chill a little bit because they do have some really high-level Pokemon on their side, and any knockouts on anything like the Ceruledge or the Lapras, that will be more advantageous to MYS. Now, very big bonus here, Regirock buff given to Elevate, and this is right before Rayquaza as well, so they will have that extra defense to work with. And for MYS, they don't have any majorly hard-hitting Pokemon. So this debuff, I think, is actually going to be pretty massive if a fight happens within the next 30 seconds. I'm actually quite questioning here, like, what is the opening for MYS? Because they're really struggling to latch on to people and to finish them off unless Rebongs nails that money Ice Fang.
Yeah, well, money Ice Fang may be as they pick off the Hooper instantly. Danny there. Lapras Express comes through, does not connect at all. Hydro Typhoon knocks up the Slowbro there. Mime Unite ejects onto the Chandelier. Someone needs to look at the Chandelier right now, but it's just going to be Nightly Foxy and to knock them out in this scenario. Ceruledge Unite to go through, but the Mime is picking up KOs left and right. This is the true carry that Mime can use for their team at the moment. Slowbro has to just back away from the scenario. It is only Lapras, Hooper, and Slowbro available, but we have the Rings Unbound, Danny. The possibility to bring that Chandelier back into the fight and potentially
he's got Unite as well.
This require. They've got the Unite which goes through. The Blaziken is able to secure for them though. So the MYS actually comes back on top. I don't know whether uniting there was the best case scenario to secure that because it's kind of like a tick damage rather than like a big burst and overheat there. It doesn't matter though because when you have a Blaziken on your team, Danny, that is going to be your secure money move.
Especially if the Blaziken can stand right on top of the Rayquaza, right? It doesn't matter if you don't have vision of anyone around you. As long as you see your prime target, that is what you're aiming for. Oh my gosh, that was insane. I can't believe I mentioned the Ice Fang and then immediately the Hooper gets taken out. But that was a pretty big mistake on the side of Elevate. The fact that the Hooper was that far forward and to be grabbed by Rebongs he's a key component to this lineup because they need that sustain. And let's not forget as well, I think Elevate underestimated the diving potential of Foxy because he literally united, ran right into the back lines, and the Chandelure didn't even have time to pop his unite, gets thrown and hits into a wall. Almost half his health gets eliminated, and then he just gets instantly knocked out. I don't. Okay, I'm not sure if we're getting some mind games happening here from MYS, if they're like pretending to be weaker than they actually are, and then just like coming full throttle during those last 2 minutes. But they executed that end game perfectly, even at a level discrepancy.
I mean, you talk about mind games, but I know it's definitely mime games because I don't know about you. The mime was an absolute pivotal
Yeah.
KO onto that channel, like you said. But also they were able to pick up, I think, KO streak of 3 or something like that. It is quite incredible when you go into a Rayquaza fight and we're watching these games and we see Mime is the only level 13 on their team going up against a level 14 Ceruledge and a level 13 Lapras, but they still come out on top. I mean, 65,000 damage on a bot lane Mr. Mime, which was holding down bot lane by themselves, but still ended up being the highest level there. I mean, this is just quite an exciting, different match that we've seen, right?
It's a foxy mime as well. I don't think anyone knew what this man was capable of with Mr. Mime until today. So now we know that if you pick Mr. Mime, it might not necessarily be that defender mime. It might actually be a carry mime. Pretty funny stuff. Um, but we also need to sort of, look at through Elevate's point of view. I don't think anyone expected Foxy to truly play this mime. They probably thought that, okay, they're just grabbing the mime, it's going to be a defender or something, like who kind of knows? And then the game starts and they see Foxy playing that Mr. Mime. So clearly they were caught off guard. I don't even know how you prepare for game two here. Um, if we look at comps overall, I was actually pretty happy with Elevate's team comp,
Hmm.
right? I don't think there were any issues with it. They did a really great job with their macro and their micro, especially with the comeback play. Um, but after that, they all they really needed to fix was just their late game positioning. Like ensure that your key Pokemon are not sitting on the front lines to the point where they're close enough to get ice fanged.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly that, right? I think they played for, I guess, the first 8 minutes really, really well. They were aggressive. They were, able to break pads. They had that potential lead going into that Rayquaza fight as well. I mean, I don't think they should really change the draft. Maybe they can change the bans coming out of that. But yet again, if you're going to be banning something like Mr. Mime, it's probably not really worth it, right? It sounds like a little bit of a bait scenario. I do have to say though, it was 6 stacks mime. So that's definitely why they did so much damage to that Chandelure there, able to just pick it off and really just change that fight there. And maybe it's a bit of experience as well. Do you think, since Elevate is playing with 2 subs there, they don't have as much of a team synergy as MIS does? And, being so experienced playing with the 5s together, they've got that I guess chilled composure going to the raid fight, even though they know the levels are I guess in terms of disparity, they're a little bit lower in terms of the levels, but then they know if they just get one good pick that they can really change the game.
Yeah. So going back onto the two sub thing, there's always going to be some kind of impact when you're playing with a substitute rather than your main roster.
Mm,
The things that we don't really, so these two players in particular, I don't know them. So I don't know their pool of playable Pokemon. I don't know what teams they've been. I don't even know if they played, competitive Unite before. I mean, they played really well in this matchup. So I do presume that they're probably
mm,
within like the competitive scene in the Philippines. Um,
yeah.
I think when the communication, I'm kind of wondering, was there an impact in that level of communication and understanding between one another? To be fair, like again, going back to the draft, I don't know if anyone expected the kind of draft to come out from MYS. So I think like that confusion lumped into this like melting pot of substitute, maybe some miscoms, like WTF kind of draft. I think most people would be thrown off in this particular game, especially with how things sort of ended in that late game. Um, but I do think overall, Elevate, they have played at a really high level. They probably played, like, just based off of what we have seen, I think they have probably played with these substitutes before. So I don't think in a lot of circumstances they would have been really shaken. It was just this game. Yeah, the draft was weird. That last play was weird. Stuff's just weird, okay? Everyone gets
I mean,
confused when stuff is weird.
I mean, good strategy is to kind of confuse your opponents, right? And I guess MYS has done really well throughout this entire tournament. I feel like obviously you said that defender comp is quite common in the region, but I guess going up against different teams, I think in the previous Spring Showdown on Unity Clash as well, other teams don't really know what to deal with it, and they don't actually have to play full defenders to shake things up. We talked about how weird this comp was going into the draft screen. That was enough, I think, just to I guess put a little bit of a question into the enemy's I guess team in terms of the
Yeah.
mindset. Like, what what is the combination in terms of the chains of moves that they can be applied to their team, and maybe they're just not used to something like suddenly you've got a Blasters Unite to watch out for into a Mime Unite, but don't forget if you get caught in the Ice Fang range, that's one Pokemon instantly taken out on your team as well. And I mean, Elevate has that one game to go. This is the crucial game now, right? Because MYS has that game lead here. This is, I guess, tournament point for them. This is the final game that they can just secure. They win the entire Unity Clash Asia Finals.
Yeah, it's the final stretch for MYS. So I'm just thinking for Elevate, what do you do here? I mean, I'd love to sit here and say like, "Hey, I've got the solutions." We don't because we're also not really sure what MYS really wants to do. Right? They could do anything. They could pull out the Zoro Comfey. They can pull out the all defender, the half defender. They can pull out an all rounder. I don't know if
Hmm.
they practice that kind of comp, but they're a team that really just throws people off. And I kind of think if you want to win this next game, I think you continue with this like absolute mind game madness, and just continue to like throw Elevate off with the draft overall. Mr. Mime Foxy, is that going to come back again? Maybe if they feel like it sort of fits into the draft. But I kind of think if you're Elevate, you really need to play your true comfort draft here. You've got to play Pokemon that you are extremely comfortable with, like your signature choices, because this is your last game. And in a lot of cases for pro players, you play your best when you are playing in your element. And your element is typically going to be your favorite Pokemon or the Pokemon that you've trained on the most. So that's something they're going to have to try and aim for here. I wonder if they should shake things up here for MYS and maybe go for their own central area invades. We've seen them do it before. It's not like this is a new concept to Elevate. Maybe they have to try and be the ones to put that pressure onto MYS before the tables turn. Another thing I want to add on top of this as well, I think the matchup against, I think it was Onyx.
Hmm.
Regardless, the point I'm trying to make here is that MYS, even though we have seen in some games where they are looking like they're behind, if they don't get the catch, they still are incredibly polished when it comes to getting those Rayquaza snipes. And I kind of wonder if maybe this is something that Elevate could maybe take advantage of and say, okay, you can have your crazy draft, but we're
Hmm.
going to try and compete against you for that Rayquaza instead. We're going to go for the rip comp. We're going to pressure you and we're going to have the better secure. And then what do you do?
That's a
Maybe.
great
Yeah,
point. I mean, if they do go for that strategy, Danny, I think they need to secure the Blaziken,
I'm not a
and they do
coach.
have the
Don't look at me
potential
for
here.
advice.
They do have the potential here, right? Because if I'm correct, they are going to be first pick here. So potentially, if they're going to lock in one of the best securities in the game, we might be able to see someone on their team playing that Blaziken. But then it will basically mean that that's going to be their number one priority, which gives, I guess, the other two major Pokemon such as a Mamo, and also the if it's the Umbreon available or a Mimikyu to MYS as well. So let's see what they do. Mamoswine is going to be respect banned,
No.
but they missed out
What?
one of the bans. So hold up as we check whether everything is all good there, whether there's been a crash or something like that. But just looking at the bans coming from MYS, Cramrat, Mimikyu, if I'm correct, that's exactly what they went for in the first game. Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh, okay. I don't know if we need to remake this because we have a ban that didn't happen.
Mm.
We'll find out in just a second here. But
Yeah.
let's assume we're just going to continue on with this draft. Um, MYS, what is this purple that we're kind of seeing for these opening two picks? God forbid we see a purple comp coming out from this team just to finish things in the tournament. I
I
truly
mean,
hope
they're up
not.
ahead, Danny. There's that potential to show us what they can do here, but that's something exactly your point, right? They can put I guess the enemies at kind of like that uneasiness because they don't know what MYS is going to pull out. Are they going to do all purple? Obviously, with the Blastway, it's not going to be, but it is something different, right? And locking that Blaziken yet again, I don't know whether Elevate can actually go for a Ripcom here.
They can't. Are they? So what's the pivot actually? I'm just looking at this and I'm just like, you can't outcompete with securing Rayquaza. So do we see up? I mean, if you go for Dark Urshifu, you could try, I guess. But it's this is strange. If they actually go for this triple defender, speedster, attacker, are they really going to try and compete for secure? I guess they're going to try. I mean, they've got Leafeon, they've got Inteleon, plenty of frontline. Foxy's going back onto this mime. Fu, I'm just looking at this. Okay, you have 3 defenders. I don't think these are the kind of defenders you need if you're trying to protect your Inteleon from a Mr. Mime.
Yeah, this is going to be a little bit tough here. Going to be a support Umbreon, I presume there. Maybe a top path double stacking Trevenant coming out there for Toneri here. So I don't know whether, like you said, you can actually stop something like a Cerulege or even just a spin Blastoise to access that Inteleon. Leafeon obviously really good in the early game. I'm just thinking they really need to, like you said, take the driver's seat and just make sure they have that level lead going into this early game here. Because if that Blaziken gets levels, if the Cerulege gets levels, even if the Blastoise gets levels, Danny, I think it's going to be disaster for them going to that Rayquaza fight. Obviously, Inteleon's Snipe Shot can be blocked. Leafeon is probably going to be the best case insurance policy, right, to secure that Rayquaza. But yet again, I mean, when you have something like a Blaziken overheat, it's going to be very, very tough going into that, right?
Yeah, and as much as I think, Slowbro is an amazing Pokemon, there are too many targets you have to slow beam this game. There are actually too many crucial Pokemon on the side of MYS. So I'm kind of wondering, I will watch Tempest throughout this matchup. I wonder who is going to be his priority. Who does he think is the target that he needs to lock down the most? Is he on defender duty to protect his Inteleon? Is he going to be in the front lines and maybe just like prevent Cerulege or Blaziken from doing their thing? Does he have to slow beam to make sure that the Hydro Typhoon doesn't happen? That kind of business. We'll leave it up to Tempest. This man is really smart, so I do trust him to make the correct decision for the team. But yeah, it's not going to be just Tempest that's really going to have to kick it to the curb. I think all 3 defenders, they are playing a really important role this game. Give that space for Leaf and Inteleon to do their thing.
Yeah, and once again, Nightmare Foxy getting some stacks at the bottom to up the damage going into this early game here. I think Mime is just such a great secure Pokemon for those neutral farms, especially since Leafeon actually hasn't come online at all here. Not able to get Leafeon for, I guess this middle bird is going to be so crucial to make sure that the Mime stays on top of this, because it looks like they're going to be holding that bot path by themselves once again. Cerulege already ready in the bush here. 4v3 scenario once again. A lot of the experience going on the side of MYS there. Are they going to be pushing this though? Looks like they get a me look though. I don't know if Inteleon can actually knock them out. They do manage to get away successfully. That was close to be a disaster there for MYS, right?
Oh, interesting choice for Tempest. So it's not Scald, it's going to be Surf Slowbro this matchup. So really going for the hard CC, but it looks like we could be looking at 2 KOs. Both of the Eevees going down for Elevate, and MYS, they're just going to advance knowing that those 2 heavy early game hitters are out of the picture.
Yeah, this is a little bit rough for Elevate at the moment. We talked about how they need to just drive that early game to show the aggression, to get that level lead, but it is going to be 3 level 6s on the side of MYS, and they're very, very happy at the moment. Something else to note as well, it seems like the Legion is going to go for the Razor Leaf here, Danny, so actually not a lot of secure potential coming out from Elevate, so I'm actually curious to see whether that's going to be the right decision going into that mid-game here. Another mean look on the Cerulege. The Umbreon is struggling to get out of the scenario. Cerulege relentless going to be able to pick up that KO for them. That is going to be 2 level 7s, Danny. Things are looking a little bit dire for Elevate,
It's not looking good at all, especially for their early game Pokemon as well. It's mostly their late gamer, the Inteleon, that has those levels, but this Inteleon by himself, he's not going to get KOs compared to the high level heavy hitters on MYS. So for Elevate, I wonder what's the plan here? Do they bunker down and just survive until Rayquaza? Are they going to compete for those objectives? They do get Foxy in that bottom lane, and they're going to go for some big dunks down here. So probably the best comeback plan for this team. And I guess for them, just go for that Reggie in the bottom lane, get the experience. Okay, sure, they're probably going to lose top, but they've got to get ready to they have to prepare to protect themselves from that Reggie Aleki, because this is going to be attacking that lane very, very soon.
Yeah, absolutely, and some Unites are going to be coming out for Team MYS very, very soon as well. Leafeon able to have their Unite move ready as well. Nearly gets knocked out with the Reggie Rock. That would have been so bad for the team. But as the Reggie Aleki is going to be walking up, it seems like MYS is just thinking whether they want to push it in or go for this bottom pad over here. Telekinesis coming out from the Slowbro there, but with 3 or 4 members of MYS, that's going to be an easy KO for them. More levels are just going on the side of MYS at the moment. We do have Intellium Unite available though, but just looking quickly at the points difference, there is going to be that lead on the side of MYS. So, I mean, there's something needs to change here for Elevate there. They either break this top pad early before MYS rotates top. They need to somehow protect this Intellium as well, because the Blaziken eject and it comes through there. Horn needs to stun 2 of the members, but the Blaziken and the Ceruledge, they know they've got that potential to dive and get this KO. Eject coming out. They missed the Fell Finger, but they don't proceed to go for the KO there, Danny.
I mean, Trevenant did his job there. It could have been much worse and Inteleon would have gone down, but now it's going to be a brawl in that central lane, and it looks like it's not looking too good here for Elevate. They're actually going to have to try and back out of there, but they do get a nice snipe onto that Blastoise, but at the cost of losing your Inteleon. That is not a trade that you would want. If anything, I think you just leave the Blastoise, but keep your Inteleon up, because that's just giving experience away. I was going to say, you know, in those past games where teams have been able to catch up against MYS, you have to bait them into a fight that they're not expecting, right? You have to bait them in, get your comeback experience, and then hopefully you can equalize before that Ray fight. There is still time for Elevate to do this, but they have to be really, really smart with where they choose for this to fight to happen. In a lot of the fights that MYS lose in, it's actually where there is some kind of bottleneck. This is not a bottleneck, this is a wild goose chase, but Leafeon is wasting time here, so I think this is really the best thing you can hope for, because you know Foxy is down bottom, and you know Eldegoss is in that bottom lane scoring.
Yeah, it always seems like Foxy's picking up those KOs to get the levels in. Huge snipe by the Inteleon though. High Typhoon goes on, but gets shut down by the slow beam of Slowbro at the moment here. I don't know whether there's enough firepower though for Elevate to actually commit to this push. Mime is already on top. Milu goes on the Blastoise there. Showtime comes out, does not connect onto the Inteleon though. Yes, it does with the confusion, and the Hydro Pump eject is not going to be enough. Blaziken picking up a KO streak of 2. Leafeon coming in, but it is just such a tough ask unless they have the Emerald 2-step to change the trajectory of this fight here. I doubted them, but with a KO streak of 3, but they unfortunately do get shut down by the Blaziken there. Honestly, I'm not too mad about that fight for the levels of Leafeon there, but I think overall we still have that level disparity in favor of MYS.
It's a very slight one now. It's not as drastic as it was previously. So I think for Elevate, that fight was actually not too bad. Unfortunately, it's a red ice buff this time, so no attack or defensive bonus. But it looks like they're going to try and go for the steal. Nice basic attacks to get rid of the Eldegoss. And
wow!
Oh my gosh, give this man a promotion, saving that Reggie Aleki and gets the knockout onto Blaziken. This is the kind of play that you need. But if you... Oh my gosh, the dodge by the Inteleon, that is insane!
But imagine get out there. I was going to say, where did it go? But it's just in this at the moment. Ceruledge, Phantom Force to go through. It's just a tough position to be in. Like, we only have one Fell Finger every 2 seconds to avoid something like a Ceruledge running down at you. We do have the bottom pad broken now for MYS there. So a little bit of a points coming back in for Elevate there. This is actually quite a close game now. We've got 2 level 13s on the side of Elevate. That was a crucial secure on that Reggie Aleki, Danny.
It doesn't end there though, Food. We are still seeing a bit of a battle here. That Slowbro just trying to cause some issues, but this Mr. Mime's health bar is not moving. Foxy is so dang tanky, and with the support of the Ceruledge, they do take him out. And look at this, trying to go for a 1v3. He gets the 1 knockout by HD. Oh, he's actually still around. He will finally go down. Thank goodness Junior Absent had me look there, because I think the Ceruledge would have been able to escape if that didn't happen.
No, I think Miluk is very vital here for their team. They need to maybe just, if they can isolate one Pokemon and
These
just get them out of the fight.
walls.
But it seems like Umbreon is not going to be able to get out of this one. Blazing comes in to pick up the KO with the Blastoise as well. I mean, this is really the last chance for them to I don't think actually fighting is a good option here. Telekinesis to go through. Surf does not connect, unfortunately. All of MIS seem to have such great raid positioning right now. It is going to be them funneling Elevate into those chokes there. Mime already building wars for these entrants. I don't actually know if Elevate can make their way in without going through the, I guess, the choke point stack MIS wants them to go through. Big snipe on Mime there. The Rayquaza's already getting shredded instantly. We got some Razor Leaf coming through from the, from the Leafeon by the Thrillers that instantly secures that for the team, and suddenly it is gonna be the scores raining down. I mean, that Rayquaza fight happened so quick here, but things are definitely in the favor of MYS there, and with a minute and 38 seconds to go, 647 points for this grand final match here. I mean, I don't know whether Elevate has that option to score enough here to turn this game number 2 around.
That play from Foxy, basically to just constantly wall up the top lane. And for Elevate, I'm surprised Elevate didn't decide to try and change entry points because they saw the Rayquaza getting ripped. And unfortunately for Leafeon, just too far away. Miwa could not find a really good entry point to contest for the Rayquaza. That was such a crazy play coming up from MYS. I think Elevate also really just caught off guard with the decision to go for the rip and basically just to play keep away with the mime walls. Like, I've never seen this kind of play before. It is hilarious, but is this the new meta, folks? Is this what we're going to be seeing at Worlds? Carry Mr. Mimes, keeping people blocked at choke points while the rest of the team rips? Very much a possibility here.
I mean, who knows, but if they do, then we know this is one of the debuts of their strategy here. But I think it was such a great decision, Danny, to rip the Rayquaza. They know they have the secure potential. They know that most of Elevate is, you know, out of that fight there. A little bit of an engagement here. I think this is just a last attempt to just pack your stats up a little bit for both sides here. Slowbro going down. That's going to be a team wipe for MYS. They have solidified how good they are in this Unity Clash tournament. They're going to be your grand final winners. They're going to be taking home the prize money, but most importantly, the bragging right of being the Unity Clash Summer Showdown champions, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, is the Leafeon kicking themselves? Beforehand, but Razor Leaf is hard to secure the Rayquaza, right?
It is, yeah. Razor Leaf is much more difficult compared to the Solar Blade. I was gonna say, I think for MYS, this is probably Pokemon Center money for them, right? Just go to Pokemon Center, stock up on whatever they want to buy. I do suspect someone to come home with a massive plush from Hawaii. I do think that will happen. Is there a giant Mew plush? There isn't,
I mean,
right?
Is it a better question to ask if there's a giant Mr. Mime plush? I think after that, Nightmare Foxy might be rebranding and going in for the Mime, I guess, merchandise here. But we do have to give credit where credit is due as well. Big shout out to Elevate Unite for putting on such a great performance and an incredible run in the losers bracket as well. It is not easy to be knocked out in run one of your day 2 finals, but being able to go through all of that, the resilience to win in losers finals as well. I mean, they put up a great show for everyone here as well. But just looking at this, I mean, we've seen so many different team compositions coming out from MYS, right? And it's just fantastic to see that they can make all these different, I guess, not really typical compositions work. And they did it. They absolutely sweep the competition here.
Yeah, I mean, this is not the last time we're going to be seeing these teams, right? Really excited to see all of them perform in Hawaii, to see what they really bring to the world stage, because I'm very sure whatever they're playing with here, this is not the be all end all for